Tumba-tumba is the envisioned children's museum of Canvas, the Center for Art, New Ventures, and Sustainable Development. Over the past 18 years, we've been collecting artworks from all our books, all our shows, all our events. So we have a modest collection of child-friendly artworks that we think can anchor a children's museum of Philippine art. So yung Tumba-tumba, we're building it in Batangas. We have roughly a 2-hectare piece of land there where we can build it. It's in the town of Ibaan, which is the town right after Lipa. We think it is an ideal place for a children's museum because it's just an hour and a half away from Metro Manila. Pero more important than that, it is bounded by 2 major cities, Lipa and Batangas City, in one of the fastest growing regions of the Philippines. So we think there is a market for it there, and if we are able to build it, it will be a unique place. We haven't seen anything similar to what we're envisioning. So basically, it's a museum that will embody the values of Canvas to teach children the values of reading, storytelling, empathy, and basically a concern for the development of the country. Mahirap sabihin yon. We're doing it modularly kasi yun nga, we have to raise the funds. The initial estimate, originally we had thought of building a single big museum, no? And the architects that we hired estimated the cost to be in the neighborhood of 150 million pesos, which I personally think is still low. It's conservative, no? So I don't know how we're going to raise it yet, but we are starting. So ginawa namin, it's a deconstructed museum. It's an open-air museum na where the halls are in different parts of the land para people can walk around it. It's an open-air museum, sort of more like a park. So we're building it year to year. Tingnan natin how much we can. Seemed like an appropriate image of a child about to enter a world of imagination where anything and everything is possible. So it's actually an AI-generated image, and one of the prompts I did was that I wanted it to be a Filipino child. So yan yung lumabas. Pero basically, yun, when you see it, we hope that it evokes feelings of imagination. In another world, I wear a different hat. I'm a lawyer and a policy consultant for information and technology policy. So I try to keep up with developments in ICT, information and communications technologies. So I've been aware of AI, among other things, no, for quite some time. So I follow it, and yun. And when the opportunity came to try out some of the newer platforms and technologies out there, sinubukan ko lang. Increasingly, I'm using it for basic things. Like sometimes I use ChatGPT mostly to do for research, part of research. Pero most of the time, ako pa rin yung I mean, I don't trust the technology that well yet in terms especially of accuracy. It's very prone to false information. So you really have to be careful with that. So. Pero it does make, yun, I don't see the use as receding, especially for everyone. Now, I think it's here to stay, and I think a lot of people will find out that AI can make things easier. Just as they'll also realize that it's not a perfect tool, na they have to know how to be careful with it, as I mentioned, in terms of making sure na accurate yung ginagawa. Even grammar sometimes is off a little bit, pero I think it's improving. Pero there are a lot of things it can do that are pretty impressive. So for instance, I received an email from one of our German counterparts na he CC'd me on a communication with another German institution there. It was all in German. So all I had to do was cut and paste the email to ChatGPT, and in 5 seconds I had a pretty accurate English translation that I could understand. So there are things that you can use it for that maybe other people are not thinking about. So I'm even wary of calling it artworks, no? Trip lang. Nakakatuwa naman yung mga lumalabas eh. So, and as I learn to prompt, no, to create the prompts, I think I'm able to control more the types of images that come out. Pero for now, it's just a fancy of mine to experiment. I think it won't. I don't see. I think AI can. Yeah, maybe there are a lot of people who are threatened by new technologies, and it's understandable. So, for instance, back in the several centuries ago, when they came out with the Gutenberg press, a lot of people were scared of it, di ba? More recently, nung lumabas yung mga I don't know if you remember, Betamax and video recording equipment, there was concern it could be used and it would be the downfall of several industries. AI certainly will disrupt a lot of industries, not just the artist community. No? But I do know it is divided siguro, if you can call it that. There are artists who are using AI now, there are artists who are not. But the reality is it is here. And whether you like it or not, it's something that people will have to figure out. But I don't think AI can replace artists kasi you cannot. I don't think creativity can be replaced. And more important than that, the question is not whether AI will replace artists, because it won't, but how artists will use AI and how even the legal framework will respond. Kasi there are questions of intellectual property, there's questions of abuse. It's going to be easy to create fake pictures that people will believe, and if accompanied by AI-generated texts that are increasingly very well written, marami talagang maloloko, di ba? So that's more of my concern with AI. It's not the art. I'm not worried about the artists, because artists will always be able to adapt. But I am concerned about the potential misuse of AI. Of course, any technology can be misused, no? Pero I think because itong AI, I think people will realize that everyone can use it. It's not just for the tech savvy. It's a very easy technology to use and to learn. And just as there are good people, there are bad people who will try to misuse it and take advantage of others. Hindi ko alam. It's I don't see it as a sudden change. It's going to be a gradual thing. I mean, the demand will still be for, I think, at least in the immediate future, the demand will still be for hand-created, technically proficient artworks. I think collectors and the art scene in general value the actual use of a human's hand to create those artworks. I don't know about I don't know yet about the future, kasi you're talking about NFTs and you're talking about digital art, and for the younger generation, these are artworks that they grow up with, diba? So there's not the same resistance to it as from like the people in my generation who grew up with actual artworks when these technologies were not present. But I don't think it's going to be like a sudden shift, diba? So I think the art scene will be able to adapt accordingly. We're hoping the museum becomes an institution that people will want to visit. and that it will endure, no? So that the people who visit today will want to bring their children in the future back to the museum. It's in Batangas, so we want it to have that some sort of a Batangas character. So we're engaging with the local community, with the local government. We want it to be something that the immediate community and the province of Batangas itself will be proud of, no? And genuinely feel that they are part of its development and its success. In terms of what it will do, we hope it's we're trying to design it to be interactive, to be hands-on, because studies have shown that children learn more if they have a hands-on experience and they're allowed to collaborate with their peers. So, ganun namin dinidesign yung museum to be memorable, no, in that sense. So the vision is that it's a children's museum of Philippine art where children are not afraid to run around. We'll figure out a way na they're not even afraid to touch the artworks. We'll see, no? Pero yun yung the vision is centered around how it can help the children learn to be more empathetic, to work together, and of course, yung vision namin for storytelling and reading. Yeah, there are a number of things. They can buy our books. They can work with us to, in Canvas, we've worked with a number of organizations and companies to come out with children's books that are consistent with the corporate values. We're starting to figure out naming rights for the museum. We do need a lot of resources, no? So it doesn't have to be cash, although ideally it's cash para unrestricted, but it can be in kind, no? So for instance, we're building a perimeter wall around the museum, so we need cement, we need iron, we need steel. We can if companies are interested in the UN development goals and figuring out how to deal with climate change, children's rights, reading and children's literacy, just give us a call or send us a message and we can figure out and explore possible modes of collaboration that are consistent with both our values.